and there's a nice process that people generally like, but it should at some point make some good basic sense. Okay? And that's all we're after at this point. So, is there a conversion on the facts?
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
Bob drove the boat.
Let's take or fail to return, yes.
What's the choice? What's the action? Whose action?
Bob drove the boat.
So who would be suing?
Alex.
Okay, so now we're dealing with the opposite situation, which is Bob driving the boat. He could get sued for Alex, by Alex for that, right? And this goes back to the question, is it Anna? Anna was asking, how do you do? Well, we're a judge. We're looking at all these facts. We're presuming that everyone's going to sue for the things that could be sued, that is sniffed out, and where would it all end up? Okay? That's what we're trying to do. Okay? So, what are the elements for conversion?
Let's take fail to return.
So, element number one, you just write up, take touch or fail to return. Element number two would be what?
Personal property
And element number three would be?
of another.
Yeah. Which one is it? Did he take it? Did he touch it? Or did he fail to return it? Touch is fine. You could also deal with take. Touch is easier. Okay, it's an easier one. Fail to return does not apply in these facts. Fail to return is he initially had permission and it later got removed. In other words, he kept it too long. Did he ever have permission?
No.
Then I do not want you to see you do this, all right? So, what would you write here? You would write, touch means what? What's touch mean?
Make contact with.
Yeah, make contact with, right? That's fine, okay? Now go to facts. Any facts? Did he touch it?
Yes.
What are the facts?
You went for the helmet instead of the cup.
Be not general in facts.
He saw the start button and he pushed the start button.
Push the start button. Anything else?
He gripped the steering wheel.
And this is what people do when they're not really on firm ground. They start throwing in other facts. They start telling why he did it. Right? Do we care why?
No.
No. They'll say, because Alex was drunk and he was afraid. And they throw in stuff that is irrelevant to the thing we're looking on. Put on your blinders, answer the question, tell me how you got there. What are you looking for and what are the facts? We're dealing with touch. Okay? If you did take, you would say take means to gain control over. You'd still put these. You push the start button, grab the wheel, and started to steer or something like that. Push the throttle forward. At that point in time, he has control, and therefore it's take. Okay? I don't care which one you do. The touch is easy. Because he did touch it, right? And then you're going to put, he pushed the start button, grabbed the wheel, and did he push the throttle forward?
Yes.
Yeah, push the throttle forward, right? So, therefore, he has to have made contact with the boat to have pushed the start button and touched the wheel and put the starter forward. He had to contact them to do that, and therefore, he touched it. You see how systematic and logical this is? Here's what we're looking for. Here's our facts. Here's our analysis. Going back, this is there because this is there, and those things make that, right? That's the way the law works. There's tests, there's analysis, there's facts. You've got to bring the facts within the tests, and when you do that, you prove things, and that is what a court is looking for. Can you prove it, right? It doesn't matter what it is. What's the test for speeding? When you speed, folks, when you
Exceed the speed limit.
exceed the posted speed limit. So what are the facts? Well, the guy got out the radar gun, right? And he was sitting there right by that, where it dropped down to 80 on highway number 1, where he's sitting there in the unmarked vehicle every day in this last couple of weeks with his radar gun out there, and he clocked you going at 140 kilometers an hour, and then is approved. Yeah, that's exceeding the speed limit. The speed limit's 110. The fact is you were going 140, and that's how you prove it, right? All right. So, now we go on and deal with the next one, personal property. How do you prove it? What's the test?
Does it belong to Alex?
No. No. Bad dog. Okay? That's this. Isn't that this, Ben? If it belongs to Alex, then it belongs to another, right? That's not the test for this. What are we looking at here?
It's not real property.
How do you prove it? What's the test?
It's not real property.
How do you prove real property then?
It's not on the land.
So, this is why you need to do this. Personal property means not land or attached to land. There's your test.
Would you just write not real property, or would you?
I actually like this better than saying it's not real property, because real property is a test. And if you put it's not real property, you don't actually have a test up there,
Okay.
right? How do you know what real property is?
Land or attached?
Yeah, but if you don't have it there, your reasoning can't be complete. Because what's the fact going to be?
The boat is not land or attached to land? The boat's real?
You're so close. You've actually done your analysis there. What's the fact? You're trying to figure out if it's not land or attached to land. What is the fact? It's a
It's a vessel.
It's a boat, right? You touched a boat. That's it. That's the fact. It's a boat. And then what you did then is, and I wouldn't mark it wrong because it's so close, is you actually did a boat is not land or attached, right? You did this part, you just didn't have the fact in there. This is actually your analysis. It's a boat, and a boat is not land or attached to land, so it is personal property, right? Now, I just want to show you, and I don't want you to feel uncomfortable because it's great to make mistakes at this point. They're free. Do you see how different this is than saying it belonged to Alex?
Yeah.
Because this is dealing with this. There's no it belongs to Alex here. And then we do the third one, which is super easy. It's going to be, go ahead.
I just wanted to know, like, is the boat possibly company property, or is that? So it's,
What are you on this one or this one? Does it matter who owns it? Keep going back to that. Does it matter who owns it? The question is it land or attached to land? So if you say, well, it belonged to a company, does that change whether it's land or attached to land? Still focus, okay? So this is the test for personal property. This is your proper analysis of is it land or attached to land? And you have to ask that when you're dealing with that. That's the test. And if you ask that and you stay focused on it, you're going to say it's a boat. A boat is on water, right? You could put that too. A boat is on water. It's not on land. It's not attached to land. And therefore it's personal property. So you can say it's a boat. You could say it's a boat on water, right? Which makes it even easier. And then the third thing, of another, what does that mean? What? So it means it did not belong to I still need to go back to what you said there, Ben. Is there any facts to say it was a corporation's? Is there any facts to say it was a company's boat? So this gets to a thing that sometimes we have, especially in this course, which is, well, there isn't any. Does that mean it is or it isn't? How can you possibly come to that conclusion when there is no fact? And what I asked you to do is, well, first of all, do you have to figure out whose it is in order to determine whether it wasn't Bob's, right? And that's really what the question is. But sometimes you just got to infer facts that appear reasonable based on this. Don't make up shit to make things more difficult or less difficult, even worse, right? Well, it seems to me that this must have been intentional that he gave this poison thing, so that would be the battery. And battery is a lot easier to prove than negligence, so I'm just going to say that. Okay? If you have any questions ever about the facts, you can ask that in the test. The facts should not be confusing to you. There's no way you can answer a question properly if you're confused about the facts. That is unusual. It should not happen, but I haven't actually created your test yet, so I have a pretty good idea what's in it, okay? And by the way, nothing we do tonight is ever going to impact on that, just so you know. It's not going to impact. What happens?
Just to be sure, if we're answering the question, do we have to, like, let's write the tort and then list the questions, or we can write one question and then give the analysis right here?
For intentional torts, I think that you should probably do this. I wouldn't mark it wrong if it was there. For negligence, I can see some benefit to doing the element, doing the analysis, doing the element, doing the analysis. For intentional torts like this, you want to have a process that you consistently follow so that you're not trying to figure out what to do in the exam. Okay? Which is why I say the best practice for this exam is actually doing it, even if you haven't. Even if you have, do it again. It's still good practice. Okay? It teaches you what you have to do. And once you get to the point where you know how to do it, you understand everything, it's time to take a break, folks. You cannot cram for this exam. Have a nice Tuesday night. Not that nice, okay? But don't try and cram on Tuesday night for this exam. If you don't know it by then, you're not going to. Okay? It's simple as that. And quit worrying about it. Okay? If you do, you know it, time to put it away. You're there, right? So you can't cram for these exams. Either you understand it or you don't. All right. So another means it did not belong to Bob. I think a reasonable conclusion on these facts was, and you could put this, it either belonged to Alex or a corporation or whatever. It doesn't matter, right? Therefore, it to Bob, and therefore this is proved. So, when it comes to conversion, would it be proved?
Yes.
The tort would be proved. All right, good. Does Bob have any defenses that could reasonably be argued?
Necessity?
Okay, anything else? Yep. What about defensive property? There's nothing to show that he's defending his property by grabbing the boat, but why did he grab the boat, folks? He said, what? Why did he take control of the boat?
Yeah, did he say my driving is going to be better than yours?
No, I said that. I can drive better drunk than you can sober. What?
Realize that Alex is too jerk to do everything.
Yeah, and?
Wasn't she asleep?
Yeah. So, now we're going to do this. So we do the same thing. This, I don't think, is there. If you had property on the boat, like you brought some gear on, whatever, maybe there would be an argument for that. There's no facts to support that. It's because I don't want you going there. But necessity. What was the harm he did? What was the harm he did? It's up there, guys.
Drove the boat.
He had touched her boat, right? What was the harm he was trying to prevent?
Loose line.
What's worse, touching someone's boat or dying?
Dying.
Right? So, he has a necessity defense. Self-defense. Was he trying to protect himself from harm and not using obviously excessive actions in this case, because it wasn't really a force, is touching a boat obviously an excessive way to deal with that threat? And was he trying to prevent himself from being hurt? Then he has a self-defense argument. So this is how cute this is, folks. Let's go back and take a look at this. Bob sues Alec for unlawful confinement. The tort gets proved, but she is going to not have to pay because of these three defenses, right? Alex sues Bob for conversion. The tort is proved, and two of those same defenses in the same facts result in her not being able to be successful. That's the way the ball bounces. Put on your blinders, apply the tests, don't worry about the answer. That's the answer. Got it? Let's do one more. Okay?
所以之后他因为这个 defense 是成立的，所以他
There are other ones we could do, folks. There's no reason for these ones as opposed to other ones.
被成功的
There are still other things that you should have come up with. What else might there be?
Defamation.
There could be battery from touching. Defamation is the one I want to deal with now. Okay. Did he threaten? Was there a threat? Maybe. So it's an iffy one. I wouldn't say it's wrong. If you sniff it, you should deal with it. Okay? That's the basic rule. If you come up with it, you should deal with it. That's the normal rule for case study. In the exam, I want the big one. Okay? So there could be a battery because on who?
Alex against Bob.
Yeah, for the same thing over here, which is basically tying him up. There could be a battery for
I was going for
the fish hook.
the fish hook.
Removing the fish hook without consent, that would be a battery too, right? These are all things that you could still go through. Okay? And once you have the hang of it, it's more, can you take it from start to end, putting the tests, understanding the elements, analyzing it, coming to a conclusion. I need to say this again. When you get this, and I'm hoping that most of you are pretty much there, the torts exam is not that hard. There's bloody easy. You have to fill out a small claim form. If you screw that up, I'm going to put "kick me" on the back and make you wear that for all day long. I mean, it's like, I shouldn't even have you do this. It's so ridiculously easy. I'll copy from my notes and put it here, boss. You know, it's not hard. There's a couple questions on it that aren't worth a ton. That can be a little bit trickier. They're going to separate the A's from the B's, but most of the marks you're going to lose is sloppy work. That's where people lose marks. I could have done it. I just didn't. I just didn't do it. And when I've showed you all this stuff, and then you just do sloppy work and you throw down, like I will get people on this exam after all I've said who will say, "Oh, these are the elements," and you know what they do? They write yes, yes, and yes here. And I go, because that will be a marking issue, a big marking issue. You still get some marks because you still have some process. But I got no idea what you've done. I can't see any reasoning. And that's sloppy work. That's what I mean by sloppy work. It's not something you can accidentally do sloppy work. You almost have to try. Okay? If I've shown you what to do and you didn't do it, then that's sloppy work. Okay, defamation. What for? Where's the action?
Bob called Alex a cheat and a liar.
What are the elements for defamation?
publication, true statement, damage reputation.
Damage reputation.
Bang, you're done that. What's publication mean?
share with someone else
You know, share with someone other than,
Share with someone else.
sharing it with someone other than the plaintiff.
why
How the fuck did that thing just come on?
someone want to be with one
I feel like it's watching me. You know? I had no idea I shut that off. It wasn't on earlier, was it?
No.
Like you didn't have that, did you? Oh, she's got her phone out. Maybe she'd do it.
No, I can't read from here, so it's
Bad, no. All right. So, what does publication mean?
Sharing with someone other than the plaintiff.
Yeah, so shared with someone other than the plaintiff. Publication means, what are the facts?
That's the people on the dock overheard Bob's comments because they nodded their head in agreement.
So, I don't want that nodding your head in agreement because it's kind of related to something else.
Yeah, I only said it because it shows that they acknowledged they heard it.
I get that. That's fair, and I would accept that, okay? Just want you to be a little careful with that. Depends on what you're doing, but yeah. So I'm not saying don't do it. Make sure you understand that the question is, did it get shared with someone other than the plaintiff? And the fact is, you're saying that they nodded their head, which shows they heard it,
Yes.
right? I would make sure I was clear on that,
Okay.
okay? But, yeah, that's right. So others on the dock heard? Is that publication?
Yes.
So, it was shared with other than the plaintiff. Is the statement untrue?
That's bullshit.
That is true.
than plaintiff.
Is there anything to indicate that she was a cheat? You have all the facts, folks. You're the judge. All of those facts are proved.
So it's okay to start piecing these little tidbits together to do this then?
The question is, first question is she a cheat?
Yes.
How come?
Because she states that it's happened before. She
She
knows it's
didn't see
coming.
or not.
That issue with the time thing,
Yes.
right?
She put
And by the
aside-
way, some of you will say, hey, wait a minute. That's backwards. It's not later, it's earlier. And I'm going to say, you can't argue with the facts. Okay? In Murray's world, you know, the sun rises in the west and sets in the east. Okay? It's just the way it works, okay? But that's a good exercise is, you can't argue with the facts. Those are the proven facts. So if you know about something and take advantage of it, would you call that somebody a cheat?
Yes.
So does that make this statement untrue?
No.
This is a tricky little thing. How much of this has to be untrue? What does that mean? What if you got a liar and a cheat? Does it all have to be untrue? Part of it have to be untrue? Now what do we do? Because part of it is true, but is that enough? Let me show you this, because it becomes really obvious, right? She has a computer, and she steals from her mom. Is that an untrue statement? But you have a computer.
I don't steal from my mom.
But you have a computer.
But I don't steal from my mom.
But you have a computer.
But I don't steal from my mom.
Compound sentence. One
It
sentence.
is. So this, if you understand this, would you call that statement that I made an untrue statement?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But part of it is true.
Yeah, separate the two.
You can't. It's one statement. So you can prove that she... So this is what I'm saying. She has a computer. But is there anything in these facts that indicate she lied?
No.
So is that an untrue statement?
Yeah.
Yes. The whole statement, taken as a whole, is untrue. It's not enough to say part of it's true. Because that's not how it works. You know? She has a computer and she steals from her mom. You can't say, well, part of it's true,
No.
so it's not an untrue statement. That's not how it works. The whole statement must be true in order for you to be able to allege that, and it'd be a very dangerous thing to do. How did that come on? Folks, I've been teaching in this classroom for 15 years. I don't remember that ever going, I want to watch you. What are you doing? What if it's recording? It could be.
It's not counted.
Well, it's not public, is it?
I told you I once punched a student, eh? You don't believe me, do you? I did. We were doing a little exercise in one of my courses. How many of you take management from me? How many of you are going to? How many of you are going to take... Well, that's not true. You don't necessarily take it from me. How many of you are taking management right now, not from me? Not from me? Oh. How is it?
It's awesome.
We'll talk later. All right. So, this would require you to understand what does untrue mean. Untrue means that the entire statement, or part of the statement, is untrue. And there's nothing in it. That makes that statement untrue. No facts to support it. There's nothing on that. You can support this a little bit if you watch for it, but this isn't there, and therefore it's an untrue statement. Did it cause her reputation to be lowered?
Other folks are not in agreement.
So, I've given you the facts. Now you have to deal with them.
Yes.
What? Did it damage your reputation?
Yes.
Can you damage someone's reputation if people already think that?
No. Yeah, if you state a fact about someone that's already established, that can still bring their reputation down.
No. It's damaging the reputation as the tort. If everyone thinks she steals from her mom, and I say she steals from her mom and she doesn't, I'm not actually damaging her reputation. But that's not really the question here. What's the question? Why, how do you prove that it damaged her reputation when people agreed with it? If they're agreeing with it, I'm not doing any damage to your reputation. They already think that. What's the problem with that argument? There's a problem.
You can't
What?
prove it.
Yeah, you can, because the facts are always proved.
But just because they're nodding their head doesn't mean they.
What does it mean?
It could mean that they're just like engaging in the conversation. and
Is that a reasonable interpretation on the facts? Or are you just doing that because you want an easier answer? Don't do the easy answer. No, there's a bigger problem, folks. Read the line to me about nodding head. Why is that a problem?
Then not everyone was previously informed of her reputation. Not everyone had the same.
It says some nodded. Maybe they agreed with that, but that does not mean everyone agreed to that. And that means that you damage your reputation, at least with the people who did not nod their heads. Right? So, does it damage your reputation when some people nodded and some did not?
Yeah.
I think that's a reasonable interpretation on the facts. So, is the tort proved?
Yeah.
Was there publication?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Calling her a liar and a cheat? Was it an untrue statement? Was the whole thing true?
No.
Then it was an untrue statement. And did it cause her reputation to be damaged when some nodded and some didn't?
Yes.
Yes, we got all three with that. That's the proper thing. It's a bit of a factual thing. You know, it's not absolutely clear on the facts. And when we get to that point, I'm just trying to have you understand that, have you asked the right question? By the way, can you damage a person's reputation by saying how great they are?
Yeah.
No way. If I said, you're the smartest guy in this class,
I don't want to be known as that.
that's not the question. The question is there publication? If I said that? Is it untrue? Yeah, I'm here. And? Does it damage your reputation?
No,
No.
no.
No, that's not. You don't get 2 out of 3, right? It's got to be this, and this. All right, are there any defenses that can reasonably be argued? Now, here we have specific defenses, which is what?
Justification.
Justification. You can argue it's true, that isn't going to work. What?
Absolute privilege.
Is this a situation where we have one of those 3 things? Parliament, between spouses, in court? Nope.
No.
What?
Qualified privilege.
Is there some sort of obligation, an understandable obligation for him to speak like this and make these things? No. It's not there. What's the last one?
Fair honor.
Is she a public person? Do we have any of that stuff?
No.
No. Those won't work. Then you go to, was there consent?
No.
She agreed to being called this? Was it defense of property or self-defense? Did she have to call her that liar and cheat to defend her property? Is there lawful authority? Is it necessary? The harm she was doing is less than the harm. Do we have that? No. She did a lot of harm by doing that. And limitation period. Well, it depends on facts that we don't have. I need to point out that this case study is harder. It's hard for 2 reasons, though. Hold a second, okay? Hard for 2 reasons. The first reason is it's new, okay? The second reason is it's got some complexity to it that requires some fairly detailed analysis. But mostly it's because if you've never done it before, it's just hard because it's new. When we get to the exam, you need to understand and just be confident and don't overanalyze and don't look for sneaky tricks and don't do bad things, because just do what you need to do reasonably well. Okay? I'm going to give you some last minute guidelines for this and then I'll kick you out, but I'll answer your question first.
Let's make the whole statement true. Because she blames Bob previously for all of everything happening, and he calls her a liar and cheat. So it's not all Bob's fault, so therefore the liar and cheat statement is true.
Where does she lie? Oh, you're saying that she said this is all your fault?
Because it's all your fault, this
Okay.
wouldn't have happened.
So you're saying that was a lie and the other thing's a cheat and that makes it true?
Yes.
I would accept that. I don't care what your answers are sometimes, folks. You just got to get there. Right? I would accept that. And remember, the answer isn't what matters.
No,
It's the
not. I was
process.
just wondering if it would
Yeah, I would accept that. If you find a fact in there that says that it shows that she's a liar because she made a false accusation and she cheats because of that hotel thing, I could accept that as being true.
So everything stays the same, it's just you've got another fact and you go through everything the same.
Well, no, then you would say that the statement wasn't an untrue statement, and therefore it wouldn't be proved. You'd still find that there's no defenses. Okay? Go ahead.
Well, if they're in EDC and Watch says managed overtime, isn't that
You can't.
liar as well?
What?
Well, if there, it says there is no EDC.
Yeah.
And his watch said managed overtime, but she said he's late, so he showed up at 6:25 and he's booked for 6:30, but wouldn't that be
That's
dark
that.
watch?
The sun rises in the east and sets in the west, or rises in the west and sets in the east. That's the way it works in Murray's fake world. Oh, that's a factual issue.
I don't understand how it damages her reputation.
Calling someone a liar?
Yeah.
If I stood up in class and said, "You're a liar," You lie all the time. Do you think that would damage your reputation amongst these people?
But how would, like, I don't have a reputation.
You won't then. Sure you do. It may be neutral, right? If people don't know you, it's neutral. But if I say, sir, what's your name? Jerry? Sari? Sari lies and cheats like you wouldn't believe, right? Now what happened? Did it go up or down, or did it stay the same? Their neutral view of you would go, that's damage. You can damage neutral. I think that's really your question. Can you damage neutral? Yes, you can. But you can't damage as low, right? They have to have a bad opinion of yours. Go ahead.
So when you're answering the question, give it down the reputation, you don't even have to like put it along that. You just need to answer the question.
You do. And your answer would be this. Calling someone a liar or a cheat would cause damage to their reputation. However, it appeared that some of the people heard it. You cannot damage your reputation if everyone thinks that already. You're showing your knowledge, right? This is key. You're showing your knowledge. However, since it only says some of them, that appears to suggest that some agreed and others did not, and they would have damaged reputation amongst the people who did not agree. Because that's a law. There's a law that says you cannot damage your reputation if it's already so low. And that fact is partly there, and you need to show you know that rule when the fact has triggered. Right? That's the kind of key to understanding it. Got it? Okay. Do not overanalyze things, folks. My basic advice to you, first of all, is that this test, you should be able to have it done in an hour and a half. I have in the past had an hour and a half test, and then we started contracts after that. But I haven't. I found that people did not look forward to that. Okay? There is an advantage to getting as much time on contracts as we possibly can, because it is harder. But with people taking up to an hour in the difference of time, I can't have people wait for an hour of benefit. And if we're so tight that we have an hour problem, so I'm probably going to let you go. But here's what you should do. Okay, ready? This is the final, last minute. Here's what you need to do. When you get the exam, the first thing you should do is just look through it. Just peek through it. See what's in there. Know what's coming. Know what the questions are, how long they are here, how long. Just take 30 seconds and look through it. If you don't do that, you will probably go, okay. And that's bad, okay? Just peek through it. Then what you should do is go and put a good basic answer down for everything. Good basic. One you think is either probably enough to get a mark, or marks that you're supposed to, or is going to be at least 80% of what you need to do. Maybe there's a little flush. Get answers down. Okay? Remember that if you leave something blank, I will give you a 0 on that. Dribble on the page. It might be worth marks, okay? Don't leave things blank. Guess, make it up, draw a picture, right? Oh, that was kind of cute. I'll give you half a mark. Don't leave it blank. Okay? Try your best. Don't overthink things. Okay? Make sure you're right. Make sure you're answering the question. Sometimes questions on my test have more than one part. There's this, and then there's another question mark, another question mark. And I've seen people who answer the first one, they don't answer the second one. Right? Look for it. Cross it out if you have to. I've answered this, and I've answered that. Right? Make sure you've answered everything reasonably well. When you get to the end of the test after doing that basic process, you should look at the clock, figure out how much time you have left, and go back and fill in any detail that you think might be a little bit more, explaining something else here, getting something else here, showing your knowledge a little bit finer and better in a few spots, until either you run out of time or your hand falls off. Okay? Whatever happens first, that should be the end of the time. I do have people who tell me, more in the management class, that law writing. Is that true? How many of you had me for management? Was the test long?
Oh, yeah.
And did you write a lot?
Yeah.
But was it a good course?
Yeah. Yes.
Anyways, I'm just going to finish off with a little story about exams and writing them, because this happened to me. So, I actually teach a lot of different types of law classes. You're getting Business Law 1. There's a Business Law 2. Some of you will be taking that. I've also taught Transportation Law, a course in that. I've taught Hotel and Restaurant Law as a separate course. I've taught Advertising Law, Marketing Law. So I've taught about 5 different courses in law. And I was once preparing a test for students in a similar course to yours that I had 50 exams or 60 exams or 60 students that need to write it. And what happened is I prepared the exams and I printed them off, and I tend to print in batches of 10 just so that I don't hog the photocopier or the machine for too long or overheats or does something. So anyways, I went to the class and I gave the students, this exam. It was a 2-hour exam. After an hour and 35 minutes, I had a student put up their hand and say, I don't understand this question. And I went and looked at it, and I went, and it appeared that I had slipped by mistake a marketing law exam into that. And here was the first question, folks. I want you to imagine that in this course, you opened up the exam and you saw this question. Here was the first question. Here is a label. Name 7 things that are wrong with that label. It's marketing law, right? There's things wrong with labels, things you have to have. They had written that exam for an hour and 35 minutes with questions like that could not possibly have made any sense to them. And then they put up their hand, finally, and asked a question. I looked at it and said, this isn't the right exam. 5 minutes later, another student put up their hand, said, I don't understand this question. And then I looked at it and went, and then I went, oh my God. Did I give that to the whole class? Right? Did the whole class, were they all, and how could this be? So I asked the class, please put up your hand if this is question number 3 on your things. And I read question 3. 10 people put up their hands. 2 of which had, at this point, finally asked. And 10 of which were busy writing away this exam that they... And I went, how could... Now, first of all, folks, whose fault is it? That's a valid question, folks. Whose fault is it? It's mine, right? I gave out the exam. But even though it's my fault, it's just... Are they stupid too? Right? And I went, I can't believe this. And I marched them all outside and said, wait outside. The exam ended and I said, this is the wrong exam. You cannot possibly write this. You can't. This is not the right. Got the wrong exam. Be here tomorrow at 9. I'll have the right exam for you. You can't write it now, right? Because it's like 4:30 in the afternoon. People have to go things. 9 o'clock. They go, well, what if we're busy? Tough. Whose fault was it? Mine. But what else are we going to do? Right? I can't say, oh, well, since you wrote the wrong exam, you must get 100% on it, right? You can't do that. And I made them all come back the next day and write it. And this is an important lesson in don't overthink things. And don't think things are tricky. Right? Oh, this is tricky, a label. That is not tricky. That is an impossible question for you to answer. If you do have questions on the test, you can ask. I will often tell you, sorry, I can't teach you now. It's too late. I can't teach you. So if you put up your hand and say, are these the right elements for this tort? I'm going to go, sorry, I can't teach you now. But if you go, I don't understand this fact or this word or something, I'll normally help you with the facts if you aren't clear on them, if you need that. I will normally do that on this guy, because you shouldn't be confused about the facts. What you need to do is understand those facts and say, now put that law on top. Okay, so don't be afraid to ask questions. Test will start at 6. We will be done at, I'll probably give you 2 hours. That's way too much time. And it's going to prompt you to think, well, I think I'm going to look through all this stuff. If you're not done in an hour and a half, it's time to quit reading and get writing, okay? Because you should be able to finish that. In fact, I've had people write this exam in an hour. If you're taking an hour and a half, I'd give you a little bit of latitude. But if you're going past that, you're reading too much. And you will sometimes run out of time. And I'm not giving you much more than 2 hours, because that's stupid amount of time. It just means you're not ready. So, be ready. Do things well. If you have questions of me in the next couple of weeks, I will try to answer my emails reasonably regularly. Don't rely on it, but don't say, oh, I better not send him because he won't answer me anyway.